Okay, here we are. This is our first foray into, I guess, audio recording podcast stuff. We're here to talk about Conquest. We're here to talk about the latest war pack. My name is Mahapar, Mahi for short. Here we have,
Donny.
okay, and also,
Skemes.
okay, just for some background, we are by no means pro players. We do not know what we're talking about, but we're here to talk about some of the most interesting cards in this latest war pack. And if it turns out this sparks an interesting discussion or something like that, we want to do these for every war pack. I guess just to talk about how we got into Conquest, I think that was Schemes doing. He kind of roped us all into this, and it was a Christmas present, right?
Yep.
Okay, so we got it as a Christmas present. So obviously we haven't been playing that long. It's only been about 3 months, but we've each kind of picked up a style of deck that we enjoy. And so I guess we'll go through that. So I mainly play Tau. Tau is kind of my thing. And in particular, Anshi is where I'm at. I really enjoy the combo style of Anshi, the extreme synergy, and the way that it plays with the game. It interacts with the planets and just attacks facets of the game that are kind of unique to that hunt style commander. What about you, Donny?
Yeah, I mean, we all came from a Magic background, and he just has like a distinct type. So Chris is more of a combo player. I was always kind of like a mid-range and grindy player. I like card advantage. I like cards that are just kind of stand on their own or are good. So I've been playing quite a bit of Chaos and Orcs lately. I started out playing Kugath and then transitioned into playing Nazdrag decks. I just like sticking that big enraged orc at planet and daring my opponent to try and fight it. So,
Yeah, and Warpstorm and
Warpstorm and Sudden Chaos are great value cards and just make the game generally unfun. That's kind of my MO.
yeah, he kind of has dreams of these cards at night. Just wakes up, I want to Warpstorm something.
Definitely.
So that's him.
Enjoy inflicting as much discomfort as possible in the game for everyone involved.
Right. And then we have Schemes, who is our resident Tyrannid player.
Yep. So I like to play green decks and Tyrannid decks. That's what I like. I'm a purist, if you will.
Ryan is our Timmy player.
I'm very much a Timmy player. The bigger, the better.
Yeah, and just to kind of reiterate, I mean, we're all kind of coming at this from an angle of fun. We I don't think any of us has had a chance to play in an actual tournament, so these are going to be our impressions of these cards based on our own kind of meta that we have between us and a few others.
Although we've done fairly well in Magic tournaments, though all of us have, especially at local games. So
right. We've been playing Magic for a long time.
But now we're definitely still in love with Magic, right, Chris?
Well, I don't want to cause any controversy, but Mark Rosewater, if you're not familiar with who that is, he's the devil. I don't like the direction Magic's going, so Conquest came at the perfect time for me. It really is unique.
Yeah, I mean, we've been finding it's just more. We find it to be like more strategically complex. The combinatorial complexity of the game is much higher.
Right, and then that is something that we crave, especially Schemes, right?
Oh yes.
Okay, so let's just dive into it. The way that we're going to do this is, rather than talk about every card in the war pack, I think what we decided to do was to pick a couple good cards that stand out. And we're not here to really definitively say, oh, this card is good, this card is bad. Really what we're trying to do is just say, hey, this is an interesting card. It does something new. I might want to play it, and start a discussion, with anybody who might be listening, about, what that card does, how it's going to change the game or not change the game. So I think right at the outset, the biggest thing in this war pack is going to be Subject Omega. So maybe our resident Tyrannid player Schemes will take it away.
Yeah, sure. So to start off, I'm going to point out two things before we go in this discussion, which is two cards that have not yet been released, but I think are like absolutely necessary to recognize that they will be released before we even talk about this Warlord. The first of which being Nesting Cavern, which I have on the screen right here. It's a 1-mana support that is not a location. As an action, you can exhaust it to infest a planet with 2 or more Gene Stealers. So that's the first the first card I want to talk about, and then also the second one coming out in the final gambit, most likely, is just basically an Elder Survivalist that's a 2/2 at infested planets, and that's another Gene Stealer, obviously. So I bring these 2 cards up because of the woefully small Tyranid card pool, and those cards are basically necessary for this Warlord to be effective. Okay, so subject to Omega. So strengths of this card, weaknesses of this card. So he is planetfall themed, which means he cares about the color of the planets. In this case, he just cares how dirty they are. So the more dirty, the better for him. He loves the infestation.
I think we all like to be dirty.
Yeah, we all do, yes. It's quite fun. I think...
No.
The strengths of this, and I think that the reason why this card is unique or even playable, really, is the fact that Ambush essentially allows you to fuck over combat math really hard, and secondly, it lets you deploy it basically makes more than half your deck events. If you think of Ambush as a sort of event, you go from, on average, having like 11 events in your deck to having like 25.
And you say that Ambush is like a sort of event because it's a combat trick. It's something that happens outside of the deploy phase.
Makes Chaos players very sad.
Yeah.
And the other big part of it is that you can gain those resources and cards you need to cast your ambush spells or your ambush creatures after the command phase. So you can play out your hand and then have more resources to dump into that combat round.
Yeah, so I have to say one of the most scary things I think that's going to happen when playing against Subject Omega is going to be facing him, and then the person saying pass, during the deploy phase, and then just having nothing on the field, because what that's coming is just a ton of ambush, and it's probably going to come in really hard.
Yep. So I think those are his primary strengths. I think his weaknesses are that Infest is he's the neediest of all the Warlords, right? Because not only does he only like his buddies, he only likes Gene Stealers that he can play with, but he also likes to play only at dirty planets. So that means your deck is very, very small in the sense that it has to accommodate both Infest and Gene Stealers. So the strengths of those relative cards, irrespective of this, really dictates how powerful this deck will be, and it really kind of plays in this idea of combinatorial complexity, like how good can this deck be given a hypergeometric distribution? Essentially, what's my probability of drawing
all the non-statistics?
What's my probability of drawing all my Gene Stealers to do something in this deck? So I think his weakness is deck design.
Okay, so I have no idea about Tyranids. You're the only person I know that plays it. I don't know a lot of people, but run me through. Okay. What are the Gene Stealers that are going to be important with this card? Maybe the first thing we could look at is what cadre.
Also, what infestation? Like, how many methods of infestation do you have?
Okay, so let's go into the math for a second. So I'm going to pull up a website called the Hypergeometric Distribution. So here's a fun game you can play. You can say the population size is the number of cards we have in our deck, which is 50. We have, in the case of the number of infest cards that are viable to be played, we have 9 of them plus 2. So let's just say 11. Let's say 12 for 1 predation.
Okay, so 11 is the number.
And we want to infest 2 planets a turn, more or less. So basically what this means is we press calculate. Oh, and we see, oh god, server error. Anyway, server error.
Okay, Skemes. We'll get back to this. Why don't we walk through his cadre, his retinue?
Okay. All right. Anyway, my point is that you have a 44% chance in being able to infest 2 planets on turn 1. Period.
Oh, that's actually much better than I would have thought. 44 for 2 planets on turn 1.
Yeah, and 2 or more. It's 2 or more. And then if you want to say, let's say I draw 3 cards with the command phase, which is a little lucky, and 2 cards a turn. Turn 2, they'll probably me being able to infest, 4 or more planets by turn 4 is probably 11. It's probably there's only a 23% chance that will happen.
It would be interesting to compare that to the odds of, for example, War deck getting 2 or more green planets.
Yeah. So you see kind of how
But I think this is actually more powerful because you get to choose which planets you want to strategically take.
Yeah.
So it's definitely more powerful in the sense that you get to choose, and you can stop your opponent from winning if you invest the right planet.
Yeah. But I think that calling him like, oh, I'm going to infest all 5 planets and that being the wet dream, that ain't going to happen. I think on
No.
average, you're going to infest maybe 1 to 2 planets around. Maybe.
So we can count on having, yeah.
Okay. Anyway, so back to his signature squad.
Yeah. Okay. So Subject Omega. Let's just go through them again. So each Gene Stealer card in your hand may be deployed to infested planets as if it had ambush. Okay. So then his squad
Is a Gene Stealer, so it can be deployed to, as an ambush. Stats-wise, it's okay. I think people have beat this horse to death by now, so I really don't want to talk about it more, but I think my point that I want to make is how really, really super important the command phase is for Subject Omega, more so than most other decks, because unlike other decks, he can really utilize the resources and cards he's drawing during the combat phase because of ambush.
Right,
He's
because
twice
he gets
as
that.
likely to use it. So I think that people saying, "Oh, I'm going to use my invasive Gene Stealers only during the combat phase as like a really shitty Clavex or something like that to kill something and steal 1 HP." I think honestly, what's more likely is you'll just be vomiting every card you have for command, so you can get as much command as possible, so you can ambush as much more in, so you kind of snowball.
Right.
I think that's much more likely to be used with this signature as opposed to just mindlessly waiting for the ambush phase to play him. Thoughts?
Well, I think that's really interesting. I'm trying to think of other commanders that benefit from being able to delay their deploys to the combat phase, because you have things like Shadow Sun using ambush platform, or other ambush cards that we have now, like Anshi, Ennui, Prelate. It's kind of the big thing, and you really do see that there's a shift in gameplay when you get not only the resources from starting your deploy phase, those 4 energy and 2 cards, but then you also get to wait for the command phase, and that's something that's really hard for your opponent to take into account when they're looking at what it is that you deployed and what the combat math might be. So this is just like a nightmare for combat math. I would be terrified.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How forecasted, like how soon into the, my one question is how soon into the deploy phase are you going to have to infest planets, and how forecasted are your military actions going to be when you're playing Subject Omega?
Yeah, so talking about that, there are infest cards right now. There is the Venom Throw Polluter. No. There's the Venom Throw that basically says when you win a command struggle, you'd infest the planet. So that's very telegraphed. Same thing, Hormagaunts is very telegraphed because it's a unit. So there are 9 of them that are highly telegraphed because you put them on a planet and they'll infest the planet after the command struggle. Predation infests a planet adjacent to an infested planet, and that's the card that I think is probably the most powerful event that Subject Omega has access to, because basically anything even adjacent to an infested planet can now be infested as well. That's the least telegraphed. The other less telegraphed one...
What kind of... Is that an action? Or
that's an action, that's correct. Okay. You can do it anytime you want.
That's good.
And then the last one is the card that I showed previously, is the 1-mana one that basically lets you infest a planet where there are 2 more Gene Stealers. So since your commander is a Gene Stealer, if you have 2 Gene Stealers, single Gene Stealers at 2 different planets, you move them to that planet will not be infested as well. So that's completely non-telegraphed. And that's why another reason why I'm saying Nurturing Cavern makes it such that you may want to play your Gene Stealers not as in ambush, just so you can infest more planets, so you can pray for more ambush later on. So
okay,
that's why it's interesting.
That's his signature unit, the 4 of in the deck. Why don't we talk about his attachment, Lethal Toxin Sacs?
Yeah, so his attachment is... okay, so the note that people need it, the note thing with this is you can ambush this in if it's in your hand, since it's a Gene Stealer card.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, it's very sweet. And you can also play it from your graveyard with not ambush. Little expensive because Tau get a +3 attack for 1. But I think it's really, really good. And I think the reason why people may discount this card is that normally other decks, like Space Marines or Tau, they can swing for a fair amount on everything. Like they get a lot of 3 resource things that can swing for 3 or 4. Tyranids don't get that. Like if they get 1 3-drop or below that swings for 3. So the ability to swing for more than that, especially since No Mercy is basically a Tyranid event, is really powerful. So I think this is why this card is actually especially good because the extra damage is so hard to get with Tyranids.
What's the ideal? First off, this is nuts because you can shield for 3 and then play it. Like, that's crazy that you can shield for 3 and then play it. Like, you just get like a free 3 shield out of this thing.
Yeah.
That is insane. The other thing, what's like the ideal Tyranid unit to throw this on? Do you want to put it on like a volatile Pyrivore or like one of the flyers? Like, what are you envisioning?
That gargoyle.
What?
Gargoyle would be good.
The gargoyle that was released.
What about lurking Hormigons?
You can't. No, the lurking Hormigons is signature.
I'm kidding. Oh yeah,
retarded.
that's oh my gosh, that's old One Eye's signature.
Yep. So I think the ideal, if you're going to be really, I think the ideal actually is to pay 3 energy in total to get a Genestealer Prowler on the field with ambushing this in at the same time, so you have a 5/1 on the field and you bloody a Warlord.
There you go.
So you can ambush it in from your graveyard, right?
No, from your hand.
Oh, it has to be in your hand.
Yeah.
Otherwise, that'd be busted as all shit.
Yeah, it would be disgusting. So yeah, I think that's like the best play you can pull off with this because it's only 3 energy and 2 cards, and that's a really fast bloodying, especially since you have no mercy. You can even do cheekier things like do this and then get fancy with Dark Cunning, untap the shit, and then swing again for 5. Like, that's the ideal play. I think people are like they're really kind of crazy with like a Yimgarl Genestealer with this, but you don't even need that. You just need like a 2/2 that you can shove this on from your hand to do some serious work. Okay, so next we'll talk about his Ruined Passages. It's a location for 3. As a combat action, you can exhaust and sacrifice it to ready each Genestealer unit you control at a target planet.
Dang.
So
it's 3 energy though.
Yeah, it is 3 resources, or 3. I think this would be probably green mana. I want to say it's green mana.
So the parallel that I want to draw is for the Tau of Awe, which is the 2-mana event card that untaps and readies each Tau unit with an attachment on it, and that card is absurd. How do you think this compares?
Well, it's a support, which means you have to play it sooner. People know it's going to happen, and it's easier to destroy because, for example, the only thing that can prevent for the Tau of Awe from happening in this game right now is Eldorath, essentially, with his with counterspell.
Right.
Ruined Passages can be destroyed with Squig Bombing, can be destroyed with Clog with Corpses, can be destroyed with a number of. This is also targetable by that new Space Marines unit. So since it's 3 resources, that's a lot of you're like losing a lot if it gets destroyed. So I think that's one thing to keep in mind.
How much support hate are people really bringing to the table right now?
Well, orcs are increasingly commonly running Squig Bombing as like a 1 or 2 of.
Yeah, that makes sense. So,
and if you hit a 3 energy or 3 resource green mana passage, that's really worth it, right?
Yeah. Also, things like Packmaster Kith and Broderick War on She, they all really care about their support locations. Mm-hmm. So I think we're going to start seeing a lot of support hate, which makes me sad, but that's it is what it is.
What is the location hate card? What is that one again?
It's the Space Marines card.
Yes, yeah. What is?
It's a 4 mana 4/3 with 2 command that says if you play this at a blue planet, destroy target location support.
Wow.
Yeah, it's good.
I mean, I'll probably play it as a 1 or 2 of in my Space Marines deck. I would imagine.
Especially Kato because he can afford the butt. He can pay for that butt.
It's a nice hedge against like Anshi or location heavy like War, right?
So I think that's why I'm not a big fan of this. If this were just an upgrade, I would be much more okay with it just because then it would be countered by SM stuff. Or maybe if it was a Genestealer, because then you could play it from your hand as an ambush, which would be really fun.
Yeah, that would be sweet.
So, as of right now, I'm not very thrilled about this.
I think that they totally missed an opportunity. They could have put the Genestealer trait on this, and really had some interplay.
But there are going to be times when you play this, right? Like it can be countered, but I would guess that most, more than 50% of the time, this thing is going to do its job.
Yep.
So I'm not too worried about it.
Which, when you think about the ambush aspect, they tap their warlord to do some damage. You ambush a card in, maybe you put his attachment on the card to give it +3 attack, and then you have this thing on the field, and there we go. It's like 6 damage to a warlord, or maybe more. So what I'm getting is the sense is that his hunt game is actually pretty good.
Yeah, I was thinking that, right? Especially, it's going to make you very hesitant to go to an infested planet if you're playing against Subject Omega. Like, it's really some interesting zone control, I think.
Okay, so why don't we shift gears to his event, which is Gene Implantation. It's a 1 resource, 1 shield card. What does it do?
Okay, so basically what it says is that if your Gene Stealer kills something with printed cost 3 or lower, you can inject your genes into that and then make it your own. So how does this make you feel, Donny?
I'm excited by the potential of this card. I think it can do a lot. I would be very sad to see my enraged orc controlled by the Tyranids, or like a snakebite thug taken by you, but it's got to feel good for you.
I mean, do you think it's because the orcs are so weak-willed that they instantly accept my genes?
I do not think the orcs are weak-willed, actually. I think that they are...
So you think the power of my genes is strong? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. That must be it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That must be
Okay.
the solution.
So immediately what I think about when I see this is something like Honored Librarian or Blood Angels Veterans. Essentially what this is doing is giving a unit you destroy ambush and putting it on your side of the field. So this could completely turn around combat math. It's 1 cost and 1 shield, so it's there's not a lot of commitment here. Like I don't have to hold up a ton of resources or anything like that.
This is stupid good.
I think this is insane.
How many Gene Stealers is this deck going to be running?
Well, so since the commander is a Gene Stealer himself, that's the main thing to keep in mind. Okay. You'll be running 13 Gene Stealers after the last pack comes out, at least.
Okay. So this shouldn't be that hard to trigger, right?
No, and keeping in mind that you run No Mercies in Tyranid decks. So
because No Mercy has the benefit of
canceling a shielding effect.
And then getting this Gene Implantation. So people will be even more willing to shield when your Gene Stealer swing because, like, oh my god, I don't want my genes implanted and get my stuff destroyed, like my stuff taken away from me. So really, people are going to be really shielding there against the Gene Stealer. So I think it's actually really good because it makes them even more defensive against an already very offensive deck. So I think that's really cool.
Yeah. What's particularly interesting about this card is that Gene Implantation is likely to be played late into a round of combat. So it's likely that whatever you recur with this, whatever you implant your genes into and revive onto the battlefield, is likely to stick around and be yours for a significant portion of that game thereafter. So I mean, just random Blood Angels Veterans or Honored Librarian just now is yours.
This is kind of like a 1 mana draw pot assault.
I think you really could think about it that way.
But you get to choose which one you want to kill, so you can focus like, I want their Blood Angel Veteran, or I want their X, right? Whatever the X is.
Yeah.
I want their Snakebite Thug. I want their what's another good 3-drop that you could steal?
I could, they're
like Noise Marines or what's the
White Scars Bikers.
White Scars Biker, yeah.
Interestingly, this just totally changes combat math. I wonder how this interacts with area of effect. If I kill multiple units, but it says by an attack. Okay, so they already thought about that.
Yeah.
Super interesting. Okay. Are there any more? So we discussed the 4 signature units, the Warlord, his events, and support.
Yep. So I think that's about covers it. I want to wrap up with one thing I will say is that this Kai is really his weakness, I think, is not only his deck construction, but also the fact that he needs to draw a lot of cards to see his good cards and to see the combos he needs to win the game. So I will say that much. I think that, and the thing is a lot of people like to draw cards, so that in order for him to draw cards, he's going to have to have a command game, which forces him to be a little bit more transparent than you'd think in this deck.
So are you gonna run the command help me out, the command synapse unit.
Yeah, obviously you have to. I think that you have to run the lifter. I think running other things is a little greedy, and I think you really need a spy. I think like most Tyranid decks right now, they win more or less by a resource game because their cards actually aren't that good individually. So I think the stocking lifter gives you the ability to play the game longer, which lets you see more cards, which lets you set up the ambushes that you want to win the game.
Worst and best projected matchup for Subject Omega.
The worst. So the worst would probably be anyone that can completely choke him on command that could prevent him from drawing any cards at all.
So Deldar, Eldar.
Well, I also think because he's also playing a hunt game, so that it means he's going to be bad against Space Marines probably because they can also screw with combat math, and their Warlords are really, really hard to kill.
But potentially, yeah.
Huh. So let's talk about the boogeyman in the room, Packmaster Kith. How do we do?
So Kith has choke. The thing is, I will say that Tyranids are actually very resilient against choke because they have Synaptic Link, they have Sacalium Infestors, they have a lot of things that draw them. They just draw them cards and resources when there's choke already present. So I think that it's the worst matchup is one where you can just completely lose by command and then can't really play any cards. His best matchup will probably be against Warlords that are really easy to kill. That have inordinately strong effects. So he'll probably be pretty darn good against Chaos' Zareth Swarm, and maybe even against War because he's able to assassinate him so easily.
Okay.
All right.
Well, I think we kind of hit everything there with the Tyranids. Why don't we move on? Do you want to take it, or should I?
Either way, Ryan, which one do you have next right now?
Let's talk about the Orc card. Let's talk about the new Orc card that you want to talk about.
Yeah, this is a card. The card that he's referring to is Outflank'em. This is a event for orcs. 1 and a shield. It costs 1 and it's 1 shield. After your combat turn ends, take a combat turn. This is a reaction, so I believe that there's no action window in between those two combat turns. Am I incorrect there?
Yeah, that's correct. Yep.
That's correct. So, I think this is going to help orcs out quite a bit, just in the sense that it will help you drive through damage to key targets and take them out. Orcs kind of don't have the greatest combat tricks right now, so just having this tool at their disposal might be pretty good. Especially, well, the one bad thing is with Nazrag, for example, you cannot actually untap your Nazrag's flash gets and use this to swing with them because there's no action window in between them swinging. So that's unfortunate, but being able to use this on like a Snakebite Thug with 3 damage on it, if Nazrag's at the planet, you're swinging for 5 twice without your opponent having any option to respond. That's a huge swing potentially. You could kill a Warlord, you could take out a very powerful elite, get rid of 2 problem cards. I see this as being a strong card to have. What are you guys' thoughts?
I think it's also another thing you didn't mention. It's really good against elite decks, and supposedly those will be on the rise. Supposedly, so I think that it's really good for those.
And I think that orcs don't have a lot of answers to elites. They don't get Archon's Terror, or what's the SM or the AM, the support that bounces the creature.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Fire.
No, it's
the support that routes a creature.
Oh.
Two resources. It's like a tower or something.
Yeah.
We know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So this card is super interesting because everybody on the forums that I've seen has been like, Orcs is just one goddamn event away, one good event away from just being a absolutely dominant deck. And for Orcs, which focus on things like Brutal or the kind of squig thing with old Zogwart, this seems nuts.
Yeah, I mean, if you can, the fact that you have a lot of times when you're playing an Orc deck, you'll have an Orc unit with just like 4 or 5 damage on it, and if Nazrag's the planet, or if you have an enraged Orc, or if you're playing Zogwat, swinging twice can have a huge swing in the game, like just gigantic swing.
Mm-hmm.
So what about the viability for this in AM decks? Is this something that they're going to want to pick up, or are they already set up with suppressive fire?
Yeah, I think that's a really great question. My opinion is that I think they may. It's one of those things where once you reach a certain number of good events, um, you're going to probably make them a little more. There's a balance between heterogeneity and homogeneity.
Mm-hmm.
The more different events you run, the more unpredictable your deck is, and the fewer events you run, the more predictable your deck is for you, which is good for you. So I think that there's a balance, and they already have so many good events that maybe you might see one or two of these in more of a mid-rangey, or like you have instead of having 10 1/2s, you have like 2 or 3 3/3s. This is where this card really shines.
Yeah, I mean, I see this being better for orcs just because the orcs are getting a higher. Generally speaking, orcs are swinging for more, and war is more focused around a swarm style. Could this be useful in like a how do you say his name? Cortez deck?
Torquemada, yeah.
Yeah, Torquemada Cortez deck.
Absolutely. I mean, okay, well,
does this help him assassinate?
Yeah, I don't see why not. The only thing about this is that ranged combat turns during the ranged phase must all be ranged. So this wouldn't get you another swing with a ranged.
It would not get you another swing with your ranged unit.
Right.
Well, if the enemy had ranged units as well, then it would, but that doesn't happen.
No. I don't know. The official ruling here is that all combat turns during the ranged skirmish must be ranged combat turns.
Therefore, but you could, if you had
only
two
ranged
units,
are allowed to be used if Outflank'em was used on a ranged combat turn.
Mm-hmm.
So if you used a suppressive fire and then that doesn't really help. It doesn't really help you unless the other person has ranged units too, right? Yeah.
Okay, so here's my question, and just so that I know exactly how this card is working, what is a combat turn as opposed to a combat round, as opposed to,
a combat turn is the declaration of an attack, and then assigning damage, shielding opportunities, and then taking damage. That's pretty much a combat turn, right, Rye?
Yep.
So the things that we do get to do with this card are swing with 2 units consecutively.
That's it.
Before our opponent gets to react.
It's literally the only thing.
A drawback is that it doesn't untap a unit, right? So
no.
you need more than one ranged unit to be able to avail yourself of outflank them during the ranged skirmish and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, you need more than one unit at the flank to really take advantage of this.
Okay.
I mean, I see this being good in orcs though, because generally speaking, you have like 4 orcs at an important planet, and you can block their first attack with like a what is it? Customization field.
Custom shield generator.
Custom field generator. Distribute the damage onto your dudes in an appropriate way. Swing for 6. That's a really hard thing to overcome.
Yep.
This could be useful in chaos too. I'm not sure if it's as good, but this with like a noise marines could be quite strong. And if there ends up being a strong elite deck in chaos with some of the new cards that are coming out, then this could get even. Well, I guess you can't untap your elite, right? You'd have to have more than one elite to really take advantage of this, right?
Yeah.
So maybe it's not the best for chaos, but maybe it could be picked up in some versions of Zerathur or Kugath. Who knows?
For Barstool, possibly.
Barstool? Oh, Barzul, the Hatebound. Yeah.
Right.
But I think its home is going to be orcs mostly.
Okay.
Okay. Next, when we're talking about,
I want to talk about the most important Tau card in this whole war pack, and it is called Declare the Crusade. It is a 2-mana 1 shield event. It is obviously not a Tau card. It's a Space Marine card, but I think it's kind of the standout of this war pack, so I want to make sure that we hit it. And it reads, after you win a battle at a tech planet, which is blue planets, choose another planet in play and a planet that has been removed from the game and switch them.
Whoa, you just blew my mind.
Yeah. And so just to clarify, planets that are removed from the game are the 3 planets not chosen at setup. So the 3 that don't, we put down 7 planets, and there were 10.
And do you get to see the 3 planets? That I guess you do, right?
Well, so here we go. And so it's those 3 planets and any planets removed due to stalemates, because those get destroyed. The deal is that only the player who's choosing can look at those 3 planets. Other players, they don't get to see those cards. So let's talk about that for a second. So we're on the first turn of the game. Let's say I use this on the first turn of the game. I don't know how likely that is, but what happens is by winning a battle at a blue planet, I get to then see what the 3 cards, what the 3 planets are, and maybe make an educated guess on what planets will not appear in the 2 that have to be flipped as we go through the course of the game. I think that's kind of the most benign advantage this card gives you, because the ability to switch out a planet and to maybe completely change the length of the game. Maybe this was a short game because there were 3 green planets lined up, and I get to now switch it so that there are no more green planets for the rest of the, planet flop.
This can be great against also color-specific planets, or color-specific warlords like War, or anyone who uses a color, right?
Not only great against them, but great for them. Imagine
in a war deck,
being Broderick War and saying, "Hey, I have 2 green planets in a row, and I'm ready to fight at that 3rd planet, but it's blue. Now it's green."
This gives them one more way of switching that color of that planet. It is 2 energy though. That's not an insignificant cost, right?
In a war deck, would you pay 2 energy to swing with 1 more for every unit you have at the planet?
And then win the game? Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
I would totally pay 2 energy for that effect. In fact, what the card that temporarily turns a planet green, I think is one resource. Is that right?
I think it's 0. It's free because you sack a unit.
You sack a unit.
That's right. Well, you have to sacrifice a unit at that planet, and then it only temporarily turns it green. This thing is permanently turning it green, and I can win the game.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but this has so many different uses, right? You can use it to make a planet green, or you can use it to make it so your opponent can't win the game.
Exactly.
Make them commit a bunch to a planet, and then you switch the colors of the planet, so they can't possibly win. That is crushing. I don't know how you're supposed to even game against this card.
Yeah, I think this card is, and I'm going to make a prediction after I say this, but I think this card is going to be particularly good for hunt style commanders that want to assassinate warlords, because playing on She, one of the biggest things I've said is, God damn it, if I had just had 1 more turn, I could have completely just won this game hands down, and this will potentially, if I'm able to win that blue planet, this will give me that 1 turn. Now, it doesn't even have to be a battle at the first planet, right? I just have to win a battle at a blue planet. So if my commander goes to an uncontested blue planet, bam, we're there.
I mean, we can also even talk about the fact that you can switch out battle effects with this. This card just has so many different play options to it. I don't see how it could be bad or not played.
So with On She, you have the planet, and it's slipping my mind, but you have the planet that takes away damage from a unit. Yeah. This is so frustrating when you're playing an assassin deck. You have to really guard that planet, because if they heal up, all the work that you've done is kind of over. So this lets you now interact with that and switch it out.
Or you can switch. You can put in the planet that draws you 3 and gains you 3 resources on a planet you're going to win easily.
Exactly.
Huge swing of card advantage and resource advantage.
Right, and you can even do that. If the first planet is a blue planet and you have all of your forces and your commander at, say, the 4th planet down, and you don't like that effect, you can maybe dictate what effect you're going to get on that 4th planet. Because of the sequence that we go 1st planet, 2nd planet, 3rd planet, 4th planet, checking for combat. So I think that this is an insane card, and I'm going to make a prediction now, and I'm probably going to eat my words, and maybe this card will never see play, but I think for every single race that can play Space Marines, they're either going to have to play this card, or really, really, really consider it. Especially as we move forward and the planetfall kind of theme where you care about the color of planets becomes more prominent.
Yeah, definitely with the planetful theme. How many do you envision playing? Is this a 3 of type of card, or is this only a 2 of, or is it a 1 of? I guess it probably depends on who you're playing, how location sensitive you are.
I mean, I'll be honest. For Anshi right now, I'm thinking it as a 2 of because I do like this effect, and I think it could save your butt.
Yeah.
What do you think, Skemes?
I think that I think there are certain commanders that will never run this, like Strachan would never run this. But I think I can see Cortez running it. The problem with Cortez running it is that, and War, is that then they can't ally with Orcs anymore, and they lose Ammo Depot.
Yeah, Ammo Depot is a huge deal.
So I think
that's most definitely a consideration, and I think it's probably the case that this is more likely to be played against those Warlords, but War really has to look. I mean, I can draw all the cards I want, but if the win isn't on the board, this is the card that's going to do it.
Yep.
But the way the mana curve is built in the War deck, I feel like it's built around Ammo Depot. Like you're depending on drawing a lot of cards so you can shit a lot more cards out, right?
I've actually had the benefit of playing. So for those of you who don't know, Donny and I are roommates. And the deal is that we went halvesies on basically 3 core sets and all the war packs. So we've had this situation where he will be playing Orcs and I'll be playing War, but he's playing the Ammo Depots and there aren't enough to go around. So I've actually had the benefit of playing War without Ammo Depot. And what I can say is it's still a really strong deck. And I could see this card pulling you away from Ammo Depot. As busted as I think Ammo Depot is, I could see this card doing it.
Mm-hmm. I think another thing to mention is that Tau usually ally with, or the more aggressive Tau like Shadow Sun, will ally with SM for units. So I can see that being more commonly run there.
Yeah, this is probably definitely a pickup for Tau decks.
Yeah, Shadow Sun most definitely likes taking the game long. So if this can stall the game for her, there it is. This card. And I have to say, I'm really excited to see this card because it's a design space that I think is so alien and different from anything else that we've seen that it's really, really it's so innovative. I really love the way that they're exploring this. I like the planetfall thing, and so then combining it with this new way of looking at the game, I think is just completely shattering in a super positive way.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
All right.
I think one thing we haven't talked about briefly is that people can attach things to planets. The first one was Slanesh's Temptation. More of those are coming. If you declare the Crusade against a planet that has an attachment on it, it gets destroyed.
Oh, crazy. That's useful.
That's true also with Infest. So
sucks for Slanesh's Temptation.
Yeah, so you can actually screw over Slanesh's Temptation, which is a 2-mana card, with this card.
I didn't even think about the Infest thing. If we see Genestealer Omega becoming a thing, here we go. This is a way to get rid of Infest. There hasn't been a way to interact with that before.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely a lot of play options with this card.
Yeah, I'm just incredibly excited about this card. We've been talking for quite a while. I think we've kind of hit all of the super important things. So maybe we should just wrap this up with some of our last final thoughts.
Yeah.
Or do we want to?
How does Auxiliary Overseer and Drone Defense System really influence the Anshi game?
Is that a simple question?
Yeah. So Skemes is bringing this up because there's an inside kind of joke that Anshi has kind of fallen out of favor, and he's my man. But yeah, the truth is that Auxiliary Overseer and especially Auxiliary Overseer is most definitely not for Anshi, and it's not really for Shadow Sun either. Though there are some versions of Shadow Sun that are very heavy on the Space Marine count because those are hardy units and they're good to have attachments on. So I could see this in some sort of Shadow Sun deck, but this card is really either for Commander Starblaze, which I've not had too much experience with, or decks looking for a good unit to kind of adopt from Tau.
No, he's loyal. You can't do that.
Oh, there you go. He's loyal. So this is just a
throw to Starblaze. Friend of Bone.
Starblaze card. And in that sense, I don't think that Starblaze.
He needs a little love.
I don't. Well, actually, I think he does pretty well. I think there's on the is it the Conquest DB forums where there is the spreadsheet that people can go and submit their matches.
Yeah.
At least according to that data, Starblaze, he's not. I don't know. He's not sexy, but he seems to get the job done. Mm-hmm. Drone defense system. I don't know. It's not my favorite, but it's cool, I guess. Maybe.
I'm pretty. I think that these Dark Eldar cards coming out look pretty cool though. So I'm also excited for them and looking into the possibility of a Selene Moon deck.
Saltine Moon.
Saltine, whatever her name is.
Yeah. Okay. So let's just Google. Okay. So basically, I'll just end this by saying Drone Defense System is an Eldar card. Likely just an Eldar card. Yeah. So we'll just skip that one because Eldar are boring. So Donny, why are you so excited about Saltine?
I don't know if I'm so excited, but it's interesting. It's an interesting angle. I mean, Gut and Pillage. I like the idea of alternative resource games, and Gut and Pillage gets you 3 resources. It says it's a 0-mana event that gives you 3 resources when you win a battle at a material red planet. It just changes the way that you're allowed to construct your deck and the way you're allowed to think about the game. Instead of just trying to focus on the command game, you can focus on the battle game and get resources in exchange for that. So I could see this being very strong in a Dark Eldar deck. That's especially with Selene Morn trying to control those red planets, get those red planets, and get energy from them. She already has built into her kit a way of getting energy at those planets. So I imagine this fits a nice theme with her.
Yeah, I could also see Packmaster Kith, falling back on the raid, choking out, and then getting resources this way.
Mm-hmm. Playing cards like Slith Mercenary, where you always want to have more energy than your opponent, making sure you have ways of doing that with raid and Gut and Pillage. That's kind of a consistent theme. So
yeah, and not to toot my own horn or make this too fine of a point, but this is another card that is going to be impacted by Declare the Crusade.
Yeah, it will. Although it's reaction after you win a battle at a red planet. Like, are you going to play Win the Crusade just to switch out a red planet?
Well, I mean, if that's what's going to do it, if you see Selene Morn setting up at a red planet, you don't want her winning that planet to begin with, and now this card becomes dead if you switch out that planet for a different color.
Yeah.
So, when we're all playing...
it is costing you 2 energy in a card to do that, though, so...
When we're all playing Declare the Crusade, you'll think of me. So I think the big overview of this war pack is that it's bringing some really innovative stuff. They're really playing with the idea of planetfall. They've kind of extended that now to make Infest something that we have to utilize or want to utilize. And they're screwing with combat math, dude.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, with the energy theme, Dying Sun Marauder also quite strong in Selene Morn decks. 2/3 that readies for whenever you get an energy. That is, I don't know. What are your thoughts, Ryan, on that?
I think it's interesting. There's very few ways of gaining it aside from raid. I think it's the only one that lets you do it mid combat. So maybe we'll see more of those effects. But I think that ambush. What I want to get at is we've all shown our favorite cards. Of the new cards, so excluding the new Tyranid Commander, what will be the most played card 2 months from now in the World Championship from this pack? Go.
I'm calling it. I'm going to sound like a dead horse, but it's going to be Declare the Crusade.
Donny?
You go first.
It's going to be Tarok's APC, which we haven't talked about, or Gorzad decks. I think Gorzad's going to just wreck everyone's hole. He's already really strong, so I think that card will be like a 3. That's a 3 of in every one of those decks, and Gorzad is a fairly popular commander. People are really into the strength of that commander. So that's my prediction.
Scrap Naba will be the most played.
You think Scrap Naba? All right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you've heard it here first. Those are the predictions.
There we go. Just as a small kind of end to this, Donny and I live in South Florida. Skemes lives in Chicago. If there's anybody anywhere around us that wants to play, hit us up. We would love to play. And that's something that we want to foster in the community. Moving forward, we really want to get more people into this game, and we want to show our appreciation to Fantasy Flight Games. We think that they've done a great job, and they're continuing to release content, which is amazing. And so, we really just want to have a discussion. And if anybody wants to play, we're down.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, good luck, guys. Have a great day.
Peace.